So here we are on Monday afternoon. The sun is shining. The sky is blue. We're going to Pat McGart, for he's so true.
Hey, you just made that one up yourself. By the way,
Just
I know
spontaneous,
that's from
comes to me all the
the
time.
Beatles. That's from the Beatles' White Album.
Ah,
And
yes.
the only reason I know that is you told me before we started.
Yeah. Got me with the days of dear Prudence. Anyway, how are you today, Pat? This is sunny.
It's great, Jude. It's really nice here as well. It's the sun's shining and it's quite warm.
Very warm.
What did they say this week, Jude? They said this week, Jude, is going to be a lot warmer than last week. Thanks be to God for that.
Well, I heard a thing on the radio. They said it was pouring rain. There was Radio 4 I was listening to. It says pouring rain, so it must be the start of Wimbledon.
Well, just normally what happens.
They didn't see. I don't remember if they suggested that it was going to be good for the rest of the week. I hope it is. Hope it is. Jesus, I think we're due a summer. We're due a summer after all we've suffered, Pat.
Yes, absolutely.
All the confinement. Look at all the things we could have been doing.
Yeah,
both profitable and popular and enjoyable.
Yeah,
and we were cribbed, cabined, and confined. Okay,
yes.
Let's get with this enlightening of the nation. When I say the nation, I mean not. Well, you know what I mean.
The city.
We look across the water with the first story, which you agreed with me is a story worth investigating further or talking further about, and that is a man with the happy name of Matt Hancock, who used to be health secretary across the water. Alas and alack, he's gone. There are all sorts of questions lingering, even though he's gone. And I know one of them is that you wanted to talk about Gina Coladangelo.
You got it done. We're only on the go about 2 minutes, and you already got it done.
Coladangelo.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you think? Is it fair enough? Get rid of him. I mean, he was.
Hey, Jude, where do you start in this one? Are you really the first thing? Jude, you know the funny thing is, that's another thing. If he's a minister and he didn't know there was a camera there, that's odd for a start. Who put it there? Right. Secondly, surely the number of people who would have access to that camera would be very, very few. That's the next thing. What was their motivation for leaking it? Are we up to 3 now? And then, of course, Boris said basically nothing to see here. The matter is closed on Friday evening, and he was gone by Saturday. And then, of course, that's 4. 5. Boris is in no fit position to sort of to judge anybody morally. But you know the other thing, which I think I'm up to about 6 or 7 now. But hey, the thing I found, he was done for political correctness more than the moral or the principle. He got done for breaking COVID rules, not for having an affair, not for cheating on his wife and his 3 kids, not so the whole idea of our leaders must be moral sort of whatever.
Not my leaders. Not my leaders.
No. Well, but years ago,
you're just an old-fashioned Puritan, Pat.
That's an old. But the old thing. There were role models for us, ordinary Joes, and all that seems to have gone. Basically now, like, and I think I said to you on Friday, when it comes to the Brits, the Tories, it's always a sex scandal. Usually with Labour, it's money, but with the Tories, it's a sex scandal. So here's another health secretary gone because he was found groping one of the females. Right, Jude, your turn.
I mean, the first one you started with is the one that intrigues me, which is who took the picture? How did they? They talk about closed circuit television, but I don't think there is closed circuit camera.
No, nobody's
not in the actual room. I may be amazed if there was, because that would mean anything went on there, discussions and so on would be in on a tip, and that wouldn't be good. You wouldn't be able to relax. But then I suspect somebody's put that in place. And then I'm wondering, is that any connection with the softening up that he got from Dominic Cummings with his assault? Was that to get you thinking about Matt Hancock? He isn't the nice smiling face that you think he is.
Everybody thinks yes,
So we'll be glad to be rid of him. And then bang, here we have this thing. I suspect Boris put the bloody thing there. But I may be wrong. He probably got somebody to do it for him. And then they got it, and then they passed it on to the whatever newspaper it was, whatever tabloid.
Well, isn't there some big meeting coming up shortly where Cummings and various other people would have had to give evidence. Isn't there a select committee coming up?
Oh, yes, I think there is actually. Yeah, I think there is. Yeah.
And I think when Dominic Cummings said he should have been sacked 15, 16, 20 times,
Aye.
the last. By the way, Jude, another one thing I keep hearing, and let's contextualize it. Sammy Wilson was on with Claire Hanna sometime last week, and one of the things he was crowing about was how superior Britain was in terms of the vaccine rollout compared to the EU, and this is one of the great things about it. What he's conveniently or whatever omitted was the fact Britain is one of the highest death rates in the world. 128,000 people are dead from COVID because of Boris Johnson. And I know, okay, they got the vaccine rollout, but last year everything was okay. Herd immunity. Boris didn't even attend meetings. That's all.
It makes change for a DUP person to be selective crowing as distinct from selective outrage.
Yeah, but Jude, getting back to the main thing, like here, would you obviously believe Boris or somebody put the camera there?
I would think so. I would think so. But
if a minister didn't know who put it there, but the second, then who leaked it, and what was their motivation?
Well, I suspect Boris. I don't know. Of course, Boris could have got rid of him anyway, and it would, in a way, pay Boris to have a stooge at hand who you could accuse of bungling and so on, blame him for whatever things happen. But anyway, the thing that interests me is, did nobody know this in the first place in the department? In your department, I mean, is there no surely his underlings were saying, God, he's gone off for that Gino on again. Or, what's he doing in there all the time? No time at all. You don't have an affair without your staff knowing bloody quickly what you're up to. And I don't speak from personal experience, you understand, but that's my judgment on the thing. Second thing is this, Pat. Who said it was an affair? What proof?
Well, Jude, have you watched the video?
I know where his hand is. I know where his hand is.
Jude, hold on, Jude. It didn't strike me as, that was a tentative first encounter.
No.
There was, excuse me, Dr. Collins, without going on the pornographic route, there was certain familiarity there. That's as close as I'm going.
But Pat, can you not imagine it? It might have been one of these wild moments of unbridled passion that come out of the blue.
Yeah, well, apparently
they fell into each other's arms.
Bollocks.
You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. Having a love affair with her.
I back up here, Dr. Collins.
A love affair.
The story is, whether it's true or not, I'm not there. I can't say it. That the minister or the Secretary of State for Health ran home on Thursday night when informed that the son had the story to inform his wife of whatever it is, 15 years that their marriage was over. So I don't think he was giving up his marriage for a fling, for a 10-minute fling, a one-off 10-minute fling. And by the way, he knew this woman when they were at Oxford together. And he brought her in at taxpayers' expense to oversee something. So Jude.
No, she worked for a while for nothing. She worked.
That was well good of her.
She worked for nothing.
As her husband and herself millionaires, so that was well decent of her. But she was getting paid anyway. She was on the.
She was only. Excuse me. She was only getting 15,000 when he did start.
For about an hour a week. Yeah, not bad.
Come on, Pat. Listen, here's a proposition. You tell me what's wrong with this. Other politicians, right, enjoy domestic bliss in the evenings when they go home, and they do their jobs during the day. Why can't Matt be allowed to say of him, he's doing his job and he's finding not domestic bliss, but office bliss? What's the difference? The point I'm making is we're talking about how good he is as a health secretary, not how good or bad he is as a lover or a wife or husband or wife or anything, whatever,
Yeah. I think we've gone past, I agree with you totally. Actually, I think we've now gone past it. We're now, what was John Human said, we're now in an era of post-nationalism. I think we're now in an era of post-integrity and principle. It doesn't matter, like you can do anything you want as long as you're good at your job. Now,
but that's what you're hired for. Let
me finish this point. Dr. Collins, I remember very clearly having a big discussion with a member of my family circle, and she told me this classic line. Do you know, Pat, she says, you're a bit naive. It takes a rogue to run a country. And I said to her, in that case, why the hell just we go full hog and bring in the mafia? Jude, if you go down this line, hold on, let me finish. If there's no rules, no regulations, no principle, no integrity, where do we stop?
That's exactly what my present wife says, Pat. but I disagree.
I agree with her.
Respectfully.
She's obviously a woman of perspicacity and intelligence.
Well,
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure I pronounced the first word right.
Oh,
Right.
I honestly, I think this is a real shame that forever we're applying criteria that apply in terms of morality, private morality, to public situations. You've got footballers who, if they're caught being drunk or, say being, I don't know, racist or something, and then take him off the team. He's not on the team because he's a Boy Scout. He's on the team because he can play good football.
No, Jude. No, Jude. No, you're going down a path. You know what you're basically saying. We should have no standards and rules don't apply. Principle don't stand, and all the rest.
Okay.
And as long as you're good at your job, you can call somebody the N word,
no,
or you can say, but no, hold on. If you take your, and I understand where you're going with, you're saying, what's that got to do? If you're good at your job, it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
But hey, hold on. See, at the very least, never mind the footballers, but see our politicians, they're supposed to be our moral arbiters, our leaders, our role models.
Our moral arbiters.
No, well, hey, they're the ones who make the rules for society. That's what I'm saying.
Well, okay, you might get them in terms of the rules of society, but that would be, say, social distancing. It's not to do with the fact that he is having it off with this Gina woman. I sort of get irritated by that because it does terrible injustice to people. Pat, if you were just supposing you're having a brain operation or any operation, right?
Yeah.
Would you check that the surgeon was a clean living man? Would you not?
No, hold on.
Let me finish. If I might quote you.
All right, okay, go on, finish out, and then I'm going to destroy you again. Go ahead.
Right. If you were being operated on, say, for a brain operation, let's say, would you look up at the surgeon and say, "Are you living with your wife? Are you faithful to her? Are you a racist? Do you drink too much? Are you on drugs at all?" Would those be the things that would concern you, or would you be concerned by how many of your patients die, doctor? Oh, good, only 0.11 or whatever percent. Which no, you can speak.
The only thing I'd ask them would be, "Have you washed your hands?" But, but no, I'm not expecting a doctor, and I'm not expecting anybody that the car mechanic to be a fine, upstanding man. Yeah. But hey, our rulers, the people who make the rules for our society, and if we take your logic, and I agree totally with your lovely Maureen, 100%, if we elect people who have no values, no integrity, no principles, then hey, we're going to hell in a handcart very quickly.
No, I didn't say. You see, but why conclude that your man has got no morals, no integrity, no this? No
well, he lost his wife and his children. By the way, hold on. There's one other point. Sorry for cutting across you, but I'm doing it deliberately. Aren't there also question marks about how many contracts to his friends?
I know that's another matter. That's another matter. I agree with you there.
But it's all part of the compact of his character.
Yeah. I would agree with you if he was handing out contracts to his friends. That definitely interferes with his job. But necking with, going to bed with this woman doesn't interfere with his job, as far as I know. Except, I suppose he was wasting good office time. It'd be like caught reading.
He wasn't concentrating on the job, and
it'd be like caught reading a comic during class.
Yeah,
sort of. It's a loose analogy.
But I guess, Dr. Collins, we're not going to agree on this one, and you're wrong.
But there's one last point. There's one last point about it. Is this Johnson defended him? He dismissed appeals or to fire him, wouldn't fire him.
Yeah.
And that was it. He thought that was on Friday. Johnson now, today I think it is, or certainly over the weekend, is spinning and implying. Now he doesn't go out and say it, but he implies that Johnson, is the man who got rid of him. What he says is, so we had something that shouldn't have happened on Friday, and on Saturday we have a new health minister, and that's the way things are when I run the show. That's essentially what he said. So from starting by saying nothing to see here, now he's saying, "Oh yeah, can't do this," and I fired him immediately. He doesn't say straight.
If you read his acceptance, that's one hell of a spin, and I haven't heard that one, so I'm taking your word for it.
It has definitely, and some of the papers.
But he said on Saturday when he got the resignation that originally he said nothing to say here, and then he said that apparently the uproar from the media got so heavy that your man gave him resignation, And there's a famous line, and Boris's response: "Your life in public service is not over." Hardly hardly a ringing sort of endorsement that you should go. In other words, hey, duck your head under the parapet for a couple of months, and we'll find an excuse to bring you back somewhere down the line.
Wasn't that what Arlene Foster was offered? She was offered to step down until the investigation was done in the RHI, and the implicit idea was that she would come back after that. But anyway, I don't see Hancock as necessarily a good man, morally speaking, in terms of his fidelity to his wife. But I think in terms of doing a really difficult job, he probably did the best he could. And certainly everybody was agreed in Britain, and Boris would have, as you say, crowed about it, that they did a really good job of rolling out the vaccine. And he must have been at the forefront of that, Hancock, I mean.
Well, there's 128,000 people dead, one of the highest in the civilized world. And it was very slow. There's also a thing about PPS, or what do you call it? The proper gowns for staff, and Jude, the herd immunity thing. And then I remember Dominic Cummings saying, Hancock said that people were sent back to the care homes and they had protection. He says they were sent back, and they, don't mean that's the way it sounds, but people with COVID were sent back to care homes where they killed half around them. No, inadvertently, obviously, but they spread the virus.
Was that, would you attribute that to Hancock then?
Well, Dominic Cummings,
or Boris, or Johnson.
Well, they're all part of the same team, so you take your pick.
Well, I wonder.
Well, he was the health secretary, by the way, and he said they had a ring of steel, or whatever the hell the expression used, at the care homes, and they sent them back. And Cummins says they definitely did not.
Well, I suppose even a stop clock is the right time every so often.
Well, I said,
you were right, Pat, and I was wrong. Okay, let's leave London politics, imperial politics, and move closer to home with the new and improved leader of the DUP, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson. Now, Geoffrey Donaldson is at war with two groups. One group, of course, the Irish government. Yeah, because they are. How did he phrase it now?
Cheerleading,
exactly. Cheerleading for the protocol. But he's also at war with the British government, because it was the British government put it in. So there's. I always thought of Geoffrey as quite a mild-mannered little man, but that's not the case, it seems. Did you see his speech that he made? Sort of his inaugural speech, so to speak, with the press around him and the TV. What did you think of it? What do you think of him?
He's the Daniel O'Donnell of the DUP. Nothing sort of sticks to him. But let's get a couple of things clear here. Geoffrey left the UUP because he wouldn't support the Good Friday Agreement. He has gone to the DUP, and for all his smoothness, Geoffrey is no liberal. He's much better. By the way, he looked very relaxed and very confident, unlike both Arlene Foster and Mr. Poots. So there's a plus. And he goes down well in Dublin because he's not bluster. He's quite rational about why he's saying things. And and I suppose in a way, maybe that smoothness will help him sell the DUP's case. So that's a plus for him and the DUP. He's not Sammy Wilson, and he's not Edwin Poots, which, by the way, is probably a plus as well. But I saw the speeches to answer your question, and it was quite clever, and it was quite and all the rest. But Jude's right. Here, he's first of all, he has to stabilise the party. He has to get something on the protocol. He has to get a won there of some kind. The DUP are losing votes right, left, and centre, and then of course he has to find some sort of safe seat or knock somebody off their seat to get apparently he says leader, and that speech he said leaders lead, and the only place he can lead Northern Ireland is from Stormont as First Minister. So Jude, that's a fair old to-do list, isn't it?
It is. Well, let's take them in turn. He needs to stabilise the party. Do you know something? If you asked me a week ago, and we probably talked about it a week ago, I would have said the DUP are in awful shape. It'll take them at least a year more to get back to anything like what they were.
Yeah.
But then my thoughts go to the time of the RHI,
Yeah.
and everybody was in total agreement that this was a shocking scandal.
Yeah.
That there was all this taxpayers' money going up in smoke, literally millions upon millions. Lo and behold, it was all forgotten about. Nobody thought about RHI, let's say 2 months ago. Nobody was talking about RHI. That's gone. That's forgotten. I suspect there's a possibility at least, and I think a strong possibility, stronger than we would like to think maybe, that Jeffrey will do just that, that he will stabilize the party, that he will pull together people, that he will, in no time at all.
Well, he got 90% of the vote, didn't he, on Saturday?
That's right. That's right. God help the ones that didn't vote for him, though. That's all I can say.
Donaldson, Paisley, and I think there was 4 members.
Was it their man from Sandy Road, Christopher's?
Stalwart.
Was he one of the ones that voted against him?
I'm not sure. I know Paisley wasn't there and Poots didn't show up. There was 4 that didn't show up, and I don't know who the other 2 are.
What do you think, Pat? Would you agree with me that actually Jeffrey is a very clever operator, and that a week is a long time in politics, and that we could be back from total disaster DUP to, well, more or less punching as heavy as ever?
Well, Jude, I think you've answered the question you answered just yourself. I think it's back from the brink. The alternative is to jump on over, and I think even the DUP, even now I say the Paisley faction who are saying Jeffrey never give Poots a chance. There's 3 or 4 of them who won't be happy, but the others say the 90% who voted for Jeffrey on Saturday are saying, "Hey, there's elections coming up next May." And to use your term of many occasions, nothing like a hanging to sort of get the mind sort of set on a course. And I think the DUP sort of said either we all hang together or we all hang separately. So right now I think that they're saying we need to get together and get our act together if we want to come back as a party. Okay.
Well, what about this thing, which is at the heart of all their brouhaha in the first place? You said that he has to get something on the protocol. What? But do you think the protocol is going to go?
Not at all, no. But
so what will he get then? How can you get something?
Well, Sakovic met the one of the party. I think it's the first time that an EU commissioner has met with a sort of a regional parliament. So he's done that. He's saying like the protocol is not going to go, but the thing that's causing difficulties, we can look at all that. But the British have to play their role as well. Now, what they can give to Jeffrey, but Jeffries and the DUP have made such a big play about the protocol that he needs to be seen to be given some sort of. There's a woman somewhere, Heidi Staffan, I was reading it today in the Irish Times. They own a health shop, I think, in Hollywood, and she said she used to get 2 pallets from. She has a health shop, and she used to get a pallet from England and a pallet from Scotland. But she says there's something like, Jude, I'm making this up, 365 items. That's not accurate, but just take it as. She said they used to come together as one, and there was very little bureaucracy. Now, apparently, she needs separate sheets for every single item. And she says the firms in Scotland and England have just told her, don't bother, we're not dealing with you anymore. So she's getting her stuff now mainly from the Republic of Ireland. Now, Jude, if that's accurate and all the rest of it, you can see why there are some difficulties.
Well, tell me this. If she's getting the stuff from the south, what's the problem?
There's no problem in the south now. No, the only problem I would say is
what problem does she have? What is she? Is she still getting stuff from the south as bad news?
No. In fact, she has to get it from the south now. The south is still in the EU.
Yeah, but is she happy with that?
Well, I presume she is, but she was getting sort of stuff. Maybe her brands and her trade might be a bit limited from the products she can get in. I'm not 100% certain, but basically the point she was making, I was reading it. It might have been yesterday or Saturday, the Irish Times, but I actually took a wee note of it and said that's strange. She's basically saying it's the bureaucracy now. It's finally the Brexit, the full import of Brexit has really kicked in.
Yeah. Well, I would have thought that maybe it's a question of people getting used to change. Like I'm talking about the business people, not the politicians. When you're used to getting your stuff from Scotland or England or wherever, then that your whole system is geared for that. And then suddenly you find yourself, well, I can't get it there. I get
Yeah.
it, the South, but that means starting a new routine. And any
Yeah.
new routine, any change, most people tend to resist it.
Yeah.
Even though in the long run it might prove to be better. For example, if she's getting stuff from the South rather than from Scotland,
Yeah.
would that not be cheaper? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, further
Well, it
travel
depends.
or across water.
Well, Jude, there's always things like there's a higher tax rate and there's a higher VAT rate and stuff like that in the South. But Jude, here's the thing. I'm getting back to Jeffrey. If he gets things, no, at the minute there's sort of like meats. There's all sorts of problem bringing in foodstuffs.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things. Even if things like secondhand cars, bringing them in from the mainland. So if he gets 3 or 4 big ones and things like that there, and they're sort of saying, right, we will scrap those, or we'll, like the grace period for a lot of this stuff is supposed to be tomorrow. It's supposed to end tomorrow, and the EU have already indicated that they're going to allow it to run on for a bit longer, for months possibly. But here's the other point, which is everybody know this sort of thing. The Brits are sort of saying we didn't realize how serious this would be and all the rest. Yeah, Jude, when they asked for the grace periods, they knew. Yeah, you have to sort of say, wait a minute, if you thought there was no problems, why did you ask for the grace periods? They basically.
Your sound is compact. You've done something to the sound.
My sound.
Yeah, I got you now.
Yeah. No, but like they must have known that when they asked for the grace periods for 6 months or a year, they must have known that the things were not that it wasn't going to be smooth, and so it's dishonest to suggest that this is purist by the EU.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Although it seems to me that the South have missed an opportunity. If I was a Southern politician, if I was Micheál Martin, right, and I saw unionists, especially in the North, who'd been used to getting, say, this stuff that you were saying, this woman getting it from Scotland or wherever, right?
Yeah.
And now she's faced with difficulties and she has to get it from the South. I would be seeing to it that the people who were supplying from the South were even given government money, assistance, financial assistance to get the stuff to her so that it gets to her even cheaper.
Yeah.
So I think they should be doing a survey. What are the goods that are not coming in, or they're coming in with difficulty for traders in the North? Identify those and then put your mechanism in place whereby somehow or another you subsidize the sale of stuff from the South to the North, so that all those unionists who have to deal with the South are actually making a good profit. I mean, it's so easy to do if they wanted to, and it's probably chicken feed at that.
Well, but then of course, Jude, let's be honest, it's proven the point of the loyalists and the unionists that we're on the road to an economic all Ireland, United Ireland.
Well, you can't get I'm only talking now not about the loyalists or the unionists. Well, I'm talking about unionist people, but I'm not talking about the politicians or the loyalist paramilitaries or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people who are in business. People who are in business want their businesses to succeed, and I'm saying the government in the South, if these people are having to turn to the South to get sources for their product, then the government.
Yeah, well, I presume if you're getting sort of stuff from Holland or Germany, and Northern Ireland's still in the EU, it's easier to bring it in to the South and bring it up, or bring it into Belfast. Obviously, it doesn't have to be, but bringing it in from England and Scotland. She said she used to get one pallet from England and one pallet from Scotland per month. She's obviously stock her shop. And she says now the companies, each company that she was dealing with, one in Scotland, obviously, and one in England, I've said that because of the bureaucracy, they're not going to deal with it. And that's the reality she's facing. Yeah,
well, you see, the news always likes the bad story. If it bleeds, it leads. So, they're going to be looking for people who have got difficulties.
Absolutely.
And again, I wish somebody, maybe journalists.
Jude, hold on, let you stop you there. And I'm serious this time. There's a guy that I know, and I was talking to him this day last week. He's got a business based in Derry, and he said he's never had it so good because of the Brexit. He says he can go any direction he wants, and he says now because of a whole lot of different things going on, trading, his business has taken off like a rocket.
Well, there should be, again, exactly my point. There should be some sort of survey, some opinion poll, people whose job it is, go around businesses in the North and ask people, are you finding it harder now? You find it easier now? Is it just about the same? And let's see the whole story, not this thing where you're saying, oh, here's this person's really pissed off. This person's pissed off. let's hear the whole story. And then in the light of that, again, I would say, why aren't the Southern government an obvious propaganda coup they could make
Yeah.
out of this? And they haven't, as far as I know, done a thing except wring their hands and say, oh, it's too bad and we'll get better.
Uh,
And so on.
no, well, Jude, I'm open to correction this, but I think the trade in the first 3 or 4 months of 2021 has been between north south is up seriously. And by the way, Jude, the other thing
Well,
I
that
think
might
the
be
ERS,
that might be COVID, because you're comparing the year of COVID with the
yeah, there's, but the ERSI are saying too they're expecting they have upped their forecast for the economic recovery of the republic to something like 11%. You know, so which is amazing. But I've sort of now, okay, we're going to have probably a massive debt thanks to COVID, because they've been paying people 350 euros a week, quite up to 1 million people for what 9, 10, 11 months. That's gone up an economic price, isn't it?
Well, the South are very lucky because I think we said this last week that the pharmaceutical industry and the IT industry, both of those are big pillars in the Southern economy. And both of those have been thriving, obviously, Zoom and all the rest of it. So I think I would agree. I mean, I don't know anything about economics, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if, in fact, the South did recover pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What the North will make of that, though, is another thing. I can't help. I was talking to a man. I went out for a run today, a walk, and I was talking to a man. Now, he almost certainly was a unionist.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was talking to him. I said, "What do you do?" And he was telling me what he does. This man wasn't in any panic. He wasn't really grinding his teeth and saying that bloody protocol or anything.
No.
I think there's a relatively few number of people whom this affects, or even who feel strongly about it.
Yeah. Oh no, Jude, I think the whole thing about the protocol is the fact, the real issue is the fact that Britain sort of sold out the unions. I think the protocol is a proxy for a lot of anger.
Well, finally, just finish up with Jeffrey Donaldson now. He sounded like he was polite and so on, but he was pretty tough. He really criticised the British government, and he criticised the Irish government about the protocol.
Yeah.
And he said it's got to be changed. He didn't even say it's got to be changed. It's got to be, I forget, dealt with. Yeah. Was that just him, making his big entrance as the leader of the DUP and talking to the guys who might have suspected him of being a wee softy? Or is that something he's going to maintain? That's still sort of steely core of criticism.
Yeah, well, I think there is a steely core in Jeffrey, I really do. But you just said something again that struck a thing in me. There was the side of the argument or the discussion he was making. He was totally acknowledging the role of Dublin and all of this. He referred to Dublin, that Dublin needs to come and help us and all of it. To hear unionists talking like that 20 years ago, they would certainly have not. In fact, he was appealing more to the Dublin government than he was to the London government, and he was appealing to them for help. Which, from a unionist, how times have changed.
I think, Pat, you're interpreting what he said in a very favourable way. I'm not.
No, sure, but the fact that he made about 4 or 5 references to Dublin and about the need for them to help unionism.
Was that not a case of him pointing out that they're not now helping them?
No, he said no. I actually said that they have to help more than just one community.
But you see, that's again, it's a criticism of the Southern government. This is an effort that the unionists all along, and to be fair, Ray Bassett makes, that Ireland, the south of Ireland, should have been a kind of a bridge between the UK and the EU. And the unionists.
By the way, I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure I agree. If the negotiations are between the EU and the UK, they should get on with it. Yeah. And if the south of Ireland, clearly south of Ireland don't have any say in the matter, really. They could point out their difficulties, but that's about it. If the EU likes it, they'll help them. If they don't like it, they'll not help them.
My point, and the point I agree with Ray is, we have a common travel arrangement with Britain. Britain is our nearest neighbour. Our exports go more to Britain, I think, than anywhere else, and so on. So we've got skin in that particular game. And if we could keep Britain on board and the EU on board, we should have opted for that. Ray's claim is we put all our eggs in the EU basket, and I think maybe down the track that mightn't be the wisest thing. And I am saying that sounded like a very sensible strategy to me.
Well, as one that I've some sympathy with, but not too much. We've just finished saying that the South's economy will recover we're expecting or hoping it will recover pretty quickly. Well, it's done that without having detached itself from the EU, even partially, and formed some sort of bridge for the UK. Frankly,
but hold on. Ray was saying keep both. He didn't say that we had it detached. He was saying we jumped totally on one side. He reckoned we could have versus the one time. I don't know whether that's doable or not.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe he is right too. But there's a part of me, maybe it's just an unreconstructed part of me that says, well, if you want Brexit, have Brexit. Here it is.
Yeah, well, I can't disagree. And I've had that discussion with Ray as well. If you're going to say to Irish people, hey, trust the Brits after 800 years or trust the EU, guess which one they're going to trust?
Okay, let's go from that fairly easy topic, actually, to one that's really difficult and controversial. And that is the whole question of VAR.
Yes.
Video action replay.
Jude, I've been watching some of, I should have actually taken note of them, but I was watching, the way you're sitting watching some of the games now have been boring enough. But there were a couple of great goals ruled off, Jude, by a slide rule, geometric, whatever term you want to use, like somebody had a foot, half an inch over the line, and the referees have no. Jude, see when a team, and sometimes I think it goes against some of the weaker teams, have made a great thing, and they've all pulled together, scored a lovely goal, and then they said, oh, it's been reviewed by VAR, and the player who scored the goal is half an inch over the line. Jude, is that within the spirit of the game? If a VAR wasn't there, the referees would never have noticed. Say again.
It may not be within the spirit. You could say it is. I think it's in the spirit too, but it's within the rules of the game.
Yeah. I think the old human one, bad and all, but Jude, this sort of thing, like a quarter of an inch over. Jude, that a game. Jesus, Jude, come on,
Pat. If there was a border poll and 50% plus one voted for unification, would you say, there's a microscopic, that's a not point, not one. Yeah. So we wanted that, wouldn't we? We get rid of that.
Why do you reduce everything to politics, Dr. Collins? That's just got nothing to do with
politics. I follow are lofty, idealistic, help my brothers and sisters politics.
Yes.
Not your
we're talking about 20. We're talking about 22 people running after a ball filled with air here. I think, hey, sometimes I know it really annoys me. See, sometimes some of the weaker nations, they get a lovely goal and you say, Jesus, I'll set up the game roughly for, and then it's ruled out. And I'm going, good. By the way, it's just, I know what it is. I think there's nothing in life as a human being, that's so exact. And here on a game, there's 22 people, and suddenly it's ruled out because of the most minute, minuscule, and that's not the way.
But Pat, was it offside or wasn't it offside?
Okay, that's that. You live in a black and white world. I like to live in grey.
Well, if you had a ref who was really good at spotting what would deceive many other refs, would you not commend him and say, "Good man, you saw that"? Most refs would have missed that. Yeah. You got it. Why are we saying the technology is bad? Because
if somebody kicks a ball and the guy stands 6 inches offside and he's clever that he's got the ball before VAR, nobody would have even noticed. He would have been considered a great player.
You're commending cheating, Pat.
No,
honestly, I am commending
basically a bit of common sense.
No, it's not. No. Disagree. You want to. Here's my view on it. You want this offside rule is what VAR is all about. You want it to be accurate, and this will give you infinite accuracy. However small, it will give you accuracy. They're not making it up. Yeah. They're actually showing it. However small it is, they get it. The problem is, I think, that it takes time at present, and people are really disappointed because the crowd are going nuts, and he scored a goal. Yeah. And then after about 5-10 minutes, they say, oh my God, we didn't get a goal at all. So naturally, people are disappointed, especially when it's long drawn out. So I would suggest not to say, get rid of VAR. I would suggest try to improve the technology so that it triggers instantly, communicates it to the ref, and it's almost as if the ref were calling it, rather than waiting forever and doing this here and walking over to the side and looking at the camera and looking at it again. It's the delay that's annoying people, I think. And nobody, not even you, Pat, would argue that if something is actually offside, by however small a margin, should be ignored. I think we got to stick to what the rules are.
Jude, I don't know about that. Hey, you know, what's that expression? Throwing out the good in search of perfection. You know, what is Roger Daltrey, when he was doing the with the Who, he stuttered, but they actually let it go because they said it was so good. That was the best version they had. And they put it out, and it became a #1 song. And that wouldn't, like, that to me is, you know, human beings. Hey, let it go. We're actually now ruining a lot of things because this sort of, it has to be 100% accurate. That games and human endeavor and sort of like us are not perfection. And I think, yes.
Suppose you were supporting a team, right? And the other crowd scored a goal, and you waited for 10 minutes, and they discovered that the other crowd had been offside. Actually, would you say, "Oh, never mind, they scored a goal. I'll accept that"?
Jude, you see, but as John Hume used to say, if you're going to sort of depend on victims to sort of allow sort of prisoners to be released, it'll never happen. And yet, you know, and certain things like, Jude, if I was an Ireland supporter and we were playing England, and Gary Lineker had been half an inch offside, and VAR proves it, I'd have been clapping all day long. But having said that, I don't think it's really in the spirit of the game that if, you know, somebody's half an inch off, you know, that we sort of say, hey, that doesn't merit a goal. In other words, you know, there's something wrong with it, Jude, and I can't put my finger on it. And morally, I can't really argue it because within the strict letter of the law, you're 100% right. But I think it's sort of half destroying in the game because you know. Go ahead.
Would you take the same view with Hawkeye, whether for GAA or for Wimbledon?
No, that because that's either you miss or you scored. But hey,
but you don't know.
A ball's kicked up, and within a quarter of a second, somebody moves a half an inch ahead of you, and there suddenly you're offside. You know, it's a technical offence as opposed to a reality. Like if Hawkeye says that ball wasn't in the net, hey, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
But you wouldn't have known by using your human judgment. You had to have Hawkeye and technology to tell you if it was a score or if the ball was outside. And they show you this in Wimbledon. They show you the ball is just marginally very close. But nobody says, scrap that. Give the guy a break. You know?
No. That's a different, because that, you know, that proves something. But here's a line across 4 or 5 defenders, and a guy they move forward in unison. And suddenly somebody's a couple of inches offside. Even Jude on human endeavor, you know, I think, you know, and sometimes the guy who gets that wee advantage, it's been very clever play from him. But years ago he would have got away with it. Now, you know, and there's something about it, and I can't even explain it perfectly. It's that mechanization of the game.
Well, it's the slowness, I think, Pat, you're really objecting to. If it could be communicated instantly to the referee, so he would say offside. I think nobody would have complaints. It's just that you have to wait forever, and he goes to the side, and the whole game's disrupted. That's a pain in the bum. But I mean, technology obviously will improve, and you get to the stage where it'll be possible. And I think that is the way it should be. If you say that on Wimbledon, if the thing is just outside the line or inside the line, barely touching, if you accept that, then the same thing applies with being outside or anything else. Anyway. Let's go to finally, I think it is something that's getting very annoying. You've been getting phone calls. Oh no, there's 2 ones here. We'll have to make a sharpish now because we've nearly been talking for an hour. Now I know people will in their hearts be grateful to us, but we have to.
It's funny.
I think it's consider the spirit of the thing.
Take one of them, and we'll forget the other one.
Right, scam phone calls. You say you're being pestered by some person who's phoning you all the time. Are you sure that you aren't bluffing?
God knows who they are. But here, let me see this last month. In fact, I think I've got 2 today already. And, you know, they come up and it's no caller identification. But they've now, last Monday, I got 2. And anyway, I decided, no, one of them was an 086 number, which is a Republic of Ireland. So rather than use my mobile phone, I used the landline. And I got this woman, she says, nobody here's wrong you. Now, I don't know how they're doing this, but and I was chatting to an elected official of Donegal County Council there quite recently, and he's saying he's getting them as well. Jude, I'm getting 2 and 3 phone calls a day from scammers, and I presume the phone rings literally for 20 seconds every time, 20 seconds, and you know, and there was one today to Malta, and there was 2 from Ireland. There was 2 yesterday, and it's just going on. And you're sort of getting back to your term about VAR. You'd love to know, is there any technology out there that can stop this sort of non-stop scamming?
I think there is actually. I think there you can buy things. You can have to pay for it, of course, but that are able to spot, for one reason or another, the great majority of these things. I have exactly the same experience as you, and I think everybody has had that experience. I miss most of their damned calls, I'm glad to say, because I look at my phone and I see this is from Scotland or Sunderland or wherever. They used to send me messages quite a bit saying, we tried to deliver your parcel, but you weren't in. Contact us. Or we want to contact you about the car crash and your due damages and compensation and so on. All this, I don't bother with it. It's kind of, you know, in an odd way, it's not the same as similar. Do you remember the round robin things?
No, what was that?
Round robin letters used to go round. You get it, people who say, don't break this chain.
Oh,
Pass
yeah,
this
sorry,
on to 9 people and you will have very good luck.
Look, you remember famous one too? There was 2 actually. You have won $1 million in the Spanish Lotto. Did you buy a ticket? No. Well, how do you win $1 million? Right. Second, a Nigerian prince has 15 million, and all he needs is your bank details, and he will send you it on. The number of people, Jude, in the early days fell for that.
Yeah. Well, there was also the religious thing, though, where you get a prayer.
I need a prayer. You will
this prayer on.
Yeah.
And
you'll be rewarded in heaven.
The other side of that, of course, is if you don't send this on, you're going to be in very bad luck.
And as well as that, and there was a virus attached to it so that those scammers could get into somebody else's phone. Yeah.
But Pat, here's one for you. You're familiar with the concept of a fairy bush?
No.
Yeah, must be in Donegal.
Well, the one on fairy tree.
Fairy tree, fairy bush. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
what?
If you had
if you dig it up,
so you have a field.
I've heard so many stories about. I know there's I heard about a woman not too far from here. She dug up a fairy tree in the middle of her garden, and whatever. Her life was torment afterwards. Go ahead.
Well, have you had a field? I know you have a large estate there, but if you were in the commercial way, if you were in the commercial line and on a tractor and plowing a big field, and in the middle of this field was a fairy tree, bush, whatever, would you root it out?
No, not a hope in hell.
Why not?
Jude, I am as superstitious as the next person. Well, by the way, I like to think that I don't, but Jude, I won't walk under a ladder. There's a whole lot of things I won't do. I have any idea. No, and I certainly would not. If somebody told me, "Hey, that's a fairy tree. It's been there for 300 years," and the last, and the bad luck, I'll be the first. I'd be getting a tractor to go around it, no matter how much extra diesel it costs.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're an intelligent man, and you say you think. Well, you do. You are an intelligent man, and you think rationally. You try to think rationally, anyway.
Yeah.
Why are you rejecting reason totally? There's no reason behind this.
No, of course. Hey, I accept. Hey, walking under a ladder is not going to make me stay small or whatever. Now, the only logical thing about walking under a ladder, somebody could drop something in your head, but that's about it.
So I find stick with a fairy tree, because the fairy tree is a more interesting one, and it usually involves much more bother and even expense for people. Why would you not take it out?
Yeah.
Well, for what reason? Who do you think is going to punish you?
I'll answer this one. Why do you go to mass every Sunday?
Because I'm a Catholic.
Because it's a belief.
But I think that's a slightly different thing. I would have a belief that the universe is governed by a loving God. Now,
I believe there might be wee fairies running around that tree. I'm entitled my belief as much as you are to yours.
Oh, I don't know if that would stand up, really. But let's say yours is totally devoid of reason.
Absolutely.
I could argue a rational case, and a lot of people would disagree with me for my faith, but it is ultimately faith. but there are all sorts of trappings of reason around it. There's no reason whatsoever attached to fairy tree. Now, let me confess something. I wouldn't dig it up either.
Yeah.
But I'm ashamed of myself for it, because it suggests that I believe there's some weird, malignant force out there that's going to do really bad stuff to me because I dug up a bloody tree. I mean, that.
Jude, look, let's be honest, Jude. We both know it's totally irrational. We also know it's insane, but that doesn't mean we're going to do it.
My God, it's a terrible. Actually, it's a terrible reflection on human beings' ability to sort of lead their lives in any kind of sensible
Jude,
way.
somebody told me something years ago. If you walk around at someone 3 times, it'll bring you luck. Guess what I did?
What?
Walked around it 3 times.
Did you?
Yeah. I work in the business. Sure, I'm not any losing if it brings me good luck. Brilliant.
Oh, you have good luck. Oh, I thought you said it'd bring you bad luck.
No, good luck.
There was a church in I call it Black Church, I think I call it, in Dublin. I think it was a disused church. It might have been a Presbyterian church or something. And the claim was that if at midnight you walked around it 3 times, you'd see the devil.
Oh, God. No.
But most of the guys who tried that had so much drink in them they wouldn't have recognized the devil in 100 years.
Was the devil a Dublin politician?
Well, the question is, what party did he lead?
Exactly.
Okay, Pat.
All the best, Jim. Good luck.
Okay,
See you later. Good luck.